So we're reading from Whispers from Eternity. And this is number 171. This is Whispers number 171. I want to pour the scent of gratefulness at thy feet. The doomsday clouds of inevitably tragic events thundered and poured down sheets of suffering on my life. My courage almost drowned in fear as a million difficulties rose up to destroy me. Only by clinging fast to thee did I survive. Now, when the cannons of uncertainty boom before me, and the shells of calumny, persecution, and fierce opposition fall rain-like around me, I am ever protected in the impregnable fortress of thy love. I am so grateful to thee. When the light of good fortune dawns again, as it always must, following every hard night of struggles, it is easy to smile welcomingly at the pleasing sunrise of thy grace. During dark nights of misfortune, however, I find it even sweeter now to offer thee the flowers of my appreciation for being always there, protecting me. I offer all my gratitude at thy feet of deep inner communion. Receive me, my eternal beloved, in sacred silence. A very beautiful reading that kind of takes us up and then takes us down and then takes us up again. And isn't that the way of the world? So our reading today is about how devotees rise, okay? And there's something really important to remember. You know, sometimes we rise, sometimes we slip and fall, sometimes we get flat out, okay? But God never abandons us. And how can a fallen devotee stop falling and turn his steps back towards God? God says, gaze not at darkness, but at the light. And this is really important to remember. We are going to trip and fall. We are going to be upset. Just thinking of what's going on in our world right now. Don't know about you, but my heart goes in and out and in and out and up and upside down and round and round and round. And it's very difficult to be really calm, really poised, really quiet right now. But if we bring our awareness to the third eye point and to the heart center and just close the eyes for a moment, that's all it takes to let the Lord, to let God, to let the Guru help us to calm down and to know that we are safe. Doesn't mean that we might not get an illness, but we are safe because we're in the hands of God. We're in the hands of the Guru. And God is always with us. So when you do despair, or when you seem to fall away a little bit, don't just sit there and worry about it, but rather ask the divine, ask Master, what can I do now? What can I do? What can I be doing? What should I be doing right now in order to shift? In order to shift back into that sense of God's grace, God's love, Master's protection over us. It's always there. And we just need to turn back and ask for it. God's wrath is entirely imaginary. Instead of raging against ourselves, our remorse should be directing energy towards a solution. And the solution for us is to focus on the light. There's so much darkness right now. Hard to say that here on this day in Rhode Island when the sun is shining absolutely bright and to say, so much darkness around us. But the darkness around us is really what's going on around us and what we are allowing to come into us. And so as I said a moment ago, it's so very important to hold yourself within the love of the divine, within the love of God, within the arms of God. I don't remember if I've told you this or not, because I repeat myself a lot. But with this pandemic going on, we don't hug each other here anymore. We used to, we used to hug each other a lot. But you can do this to your very self. And as you do that, feel that you are doing it to God. Feel that you are meeting with Master, encompassing Master, drawing Master close to yourself, drawing God into your heart, and hold and squeeze and feel something there, and then release. And that's one of the ways that we can begin to release some of the fear that we might have, release some of the anxiety, release some of the thoughts that get in our mind and really rip us to pieces. Yogananda has said, turn on the light and the darkness will vanish as though it never had been. And we just need to find the light switch. And it's always there. It's actually in two places. It's always here in the heart center. And it's always up here at the third eye point. So if you're out there and you feel a little silly to do this instead. Touch the heart. Invite God into the heart. Invite Master into the heart. And then draw that energy up towards the spiritual eye. You feel the protection that is surrounding you and within you all the time. Sometimes we might find ourselves sinking into quicksand of delusion. If that happens, just refuse to accept that downward direction as reality. Nothing anywhere is ever static. So that means that if we do get into these situations, we have the ability to rise up. We have the ability to move out. Sometimes we get concerned because that we feel our spiritual aspirations have gone astray. Can't happen. Spiritual aspiration cannot be totally annihilated. Once it awakens in the heart, once the desire for God, once that is awakened, it continues forever until it attains fulfillment. Annihilation of one's spiritual life is not a crash. It causes suffering, but it cannot destroy the soul. And there's a lot of energetic effort that's necessary to pull us through these kinds of things, because delusion is very strong, and most people realize that. Victory is achieved by living consciously in the thought of God. So wherever you are, out there in the street, in your car, filling up your gas pump, at Walmart, took you to Walmart again, wherever you are, live consciously in the thought of God by practicing His presence. When I was a child, and I was raised up in a Catholic school, and the nuns would sometimes say, now when you go out, watch how you play and watch what you do, and play with Jesus. And if you're alone, you can play with Jesus. And we can lift that up. Jesus is on the same level, of course, but we can lift that childlike thought up into where we are here as adults. Be with Master, be with Jesus, be with any one of the Masters, that you feel calling to you, or that you feel that you want to call into you at this time, know that you're never, ever alone. And that there's always protection around you. Okay. So I'd like to move over here and talk a little bit of something that comes from Swami Kriyananda's book, The Promise of Immortality. And he says, do not give in to despair. I don't know about you, I've been feeling little bits of that here and there lately with what's going on in the world, with this pandemic, with people becoming ill, with just reading and listening to the thousands of people that have passed. And Swami tells us, do not give in to despair. Ask yourself, what can I do? And then go back into your energy again and direct your energy toward a solution. And that solution is always light. So take a moment. Go into that. Being Italian, you know, I like to talk with my hands again. Sometimes when it feels a little bit too intense, I take my fingers right into my heart and I grab it and I reach out and open my hands and say, Lord, Jesus, Master, Babaji, anybody up there, come to me, be with me. This is a hard time. I need you, and all these people around me need you too. Hold us. We are yours. And remember that. Really take hold of that. Take ownership. The masters are yours. They're not just pictures on a wall. They're not just pictures on your little altar. They're not just in your car, in a picture. They're yours, and they're yours deeply within you all the time. And once you desire for God, once that's really awakened, what happens is that it continues forever until you get fulfillment. So again, reach for the goal, reach for that which can make you feel secure, make you feel loving, make you feel protected, make you feel one with the divine. It's very easy to be driving in your car alone. You might be running an errand alone. You may be living alone. We can see a lot of aloneness in our life, but it's so important to know that we are never alone. We're never alone. We've got these masters with us. It's just a matter of calling in. And the calling in, if you don't have a spiritual telephone, don't worry about it. Just call with your mouth. Call in, call with your heart. I need you now, come to me, be with me. My neighbor is having a really hard time, help them. So that you share that, because it's very, very good karma and really high policy. Whatever you receive from the divine, share it with everyone. Share it with everyone you meet. And this is something that Swami said, and so this confirms what I just said to you a moment ago. Offer your problems and weakness up to God. He alone will never misunderstand you. It is His grace alone that purifies the soul to the end. Do you ever feel misunderstood? Do you ever misunderstand yourself? Know that through all of that, God, Master, understands you and is with you. And so offer your problems, offer the foibles, offer whatever you need. So victory is achieved by one living consciously in the thought of God and by practicing His presence. That's what we've been talking about. Victory is achieved by meditating daily and deeply. And sometimes we're all set for it. I mean, we can sit for 20 minutes, half hour, an hour, 2 hours. Doesn't that feel wonderful? And sometimes we can barely do 5 minutes. The 5 minutes that you can do is just as important as the 2 hours that you can do, if it's done from within the heart and totally sincerely. And of course, we always want to work towards longer, work towards more meditation. But sometimes it seems impossible. And I've known people to just throw up their hands and say, well, I can't do that. Let me go do something else. No, no, no. If it's your meditation time, or if you've just had an inspiration to meditate for a little bit, do that, even if it's small. The tiniest seed can grow into the hugest tree. And how does it do that? It does that because the seed gets planted, and then it gets fed, it gets water, it gets its soil, it gets the sunshine, and eventually the tree grows and is up and is there. It's the same way with us. It's the same way with our meditation. Sometimes our meditation is just a little seed. So stay with it, feed it. When you have to leave, leave. Come back again. Maybe the seed has grown already without you realizing it, and so the meditation goes longer. And really, let yourself live with it. Let yourself live with the masters, live with God. Which means that things aren't the same every day, If you live with somebody, and I don't care who this somebody is, maybe the most wonderful person in the world, if you live with somebody, every time you come in, it's not the same as before. Sometimes it's absolutely wonderful. Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes you want to throw them out, or you want to get out. But this is someone you live with. So you move through that, and you stay. And you do what you need to do within yourself to calm yourself so that you can be with that person more. And it's the same with us and God. We don't have to run away because we're not perfect. We just have to be with Him, accept Him, love Him. I'm doing a lot of hymns today. Let's bring in Divine Mother. Love Divine Mother, be with Divine Mother. Let her cradle you in her arms. And another way of achieving victory is offering oneself up unceasingly as a channel for God's love and God's joy. That can be a little bit difficult when you're having a hard day, but try it. Try it. I don't feel very great, but what if I could bring in some joy? And if I can't hold it because I'm too nervous, let me give it to Divine Mother. Let me give this joy to Divine Mother. Let me give the happiness that I'm with her to Divine Mother. And you'll see that you will get it back 1,000 folds. Maybe not in that specific moment, but those times when you're going along, you say, how did this ever happen to me? This is fantastic. This is wonderful. Guess what? It was Master, or it was Divine Mother. They're always there, always willing. And then the last victory to achieve is to let us know that the upward path leads to eternal freedom. So that here we are on this beautiful path. And it's not just for being okay today or tomorrow or 3 weeks from now or 5 years from now. This upper path, our path, it leads to total freedom forever. So don't ever be discouraged about it. Hold on in any way that you can And as I said before, some days will be magnificent, and some days will be really feeling lower than the dumps. Be with it anyway, because the divine is with you always, taking care of you always, loving you always, being your very own always. And that's the last part I'm going to say, is to really accept and embrace that the master, that the guru, that any of our gurus, if you're not on this path, whatever guru you have, embrace it and know that you are cared for and you are loved and you are protected. God bless you.